everyone, I wanted to do my first mum and baby type video, and this video is all about my breastfeeding essentials. Now in a way I'm sorry that this is the first video that I'm doing of the mum and baby stuff, because I know a lot of people don't breastfeed and this is not meant to be the type of video that's like woo woo breastfeeders or anything like that, because I just think however you feed your baby, you're doing an amazing job. This is not one of those kind of pushing breastfeeding on people videos. It's just the things that I found really useful, because actually I do think that breastfeeding is quite difficult. Lots of people, maybe it comes really naturally to them, but I think that when you're handed this new baby and then you have to learn something new as well, and they don't latch on properly or something like that, it's really, really hard. So yeah, this video is all about the things that I've found that have made life easier. If you're not interested in breastfeeding at all, then sorry that this is the first video, and there will be other videos. And for those of you that are just interested in baby stuff in general, or just that side of my life because you know me from A Model Recommends and you want to see more not private but more personal stuff and stuff that's non-beauty, then you might really like the website, so go and check it out. It's yeah, it's in the description box. So let's go with my top things that I found useful for breastfeeding. And the first thing, and I can't believe I didn't discover this until quite a few weeks in, by which time my back was absolutely killing from trying to hold a baby up to the right height to be on the boob. And she was a heavy baby as well. She was 9 pounds 11. So holding her up here, it was like, oh, and all my shoulders were really sore, and that is the last thing you need, especially when you might be sore down below, or if you had a C-section. I had a C-section, you might be sore on your tummy. So I found this really useful, and this is a breastfeeding pillow. And this brand is called Threepenny Bits. They do loads of different sizes, and I love the fact that you just put it on, tie it around the back so that it doesn't slip away, and then just pop the baby on top. And if the baby was here and I could demonstrate, but she's on the floor, she would be right at the right height, and it just means that you can concentrate on getting the baby latched onto the nipple properly, rather than kind of struggling like this and trying to do that at the same time. So really invaluable, one of those pillows. And I mean, I think that if I'd had it from the beginning, I'd have had a slightly different experience. I never felt like giving up with breastfeeding, because I really wanted to do it, but I did have lots of problems. She had tongue tie, which meant that she couldn't latch on properly. Then I got really sore, cracked nipples. At one point they were bleeding. It was like, oh my God, really? Really? So it was something that I just persevered with, and now I just find it so easy, and it's so convenient because I don't have to mix up any formula or do bottles or sterilise anything. If she cries, I just pop her on, that's it. So I do find it brilliant, and I am going to do a post on my website, pros and cons of breastfeeding, because you know, if you do have lots of problems and your nipples are constantly sore and you don't have any support with it, then I can see why it would be awful. But I found that once I'd overcome the problems, it was just brilliant. So yeah, that's the first thing. God, this video is going to be about 85 minutes long at this rate. The second thing is just a necessity really, and that's breast pads. Now, I got one. You can either get, oh no, I haven't got any in. You can either get disposable breast pads, like the Lancino ones, they're really good, or you can get them from the supermarket. And you pop them in, they stick to the inside of your bra, and then you just chuck them away at the end of the day, or when, you know, maybe more often than that, depending on how much milk that you're leaking. It does tend to settle down after a while, I find, the leaking thing. Then if you have a bit of a change of routine, or the baby doesn't feed for longer than usual, you might get a bit engorged and then leak again. Anyway, 5 months in, and I got a little bit sick of always throwing away these disposable ones, and it made me feel really bad because I'm already using nappies, and you know, I just kind of felt, well, and they're all wrapped in individual bits of plastic, and it just felt a bit bad. And lots of people have suggested these bamboo reusable ones that you can put in the washing machine. I got these ones off Amazon. That's not a matching pair, obviously. And they're just really soft. Stick them in the washing machine when you're done, and then reuse them again and again and again. And it just feels a lot more eco-friendly. And yeah, I mean, they're very bulky. I probably wouldn't want to leave the house wearing them, really, because You know, they just add quite a lot of bulk and they wrinkle up and stuff. But if you're just stuck at home with a new baby, constantly breastfeeding, hardly ever making it out of bed, you know, you just jam those down the front and they're brilliant. Off they go onto the floor to be eaten by the dog. This essential. This is Lancino Lanolin cream for the nips, and you just put it on, and it helps when they're cracked and sore and horrible in the beginning, and even, you know, later on. I got mastitis, which is an infection of the breast, and they were really sore again. So that became really useful. But even though I used it pretty much about 10 times a day for a couple of months, I've still got half of it left. So if it looks slightly more expensive than the others, don't worry, you probably will only need one tube. And I think it's the best one, really. Flask. You will get really, really, really thirsty when you're breastfeeding, and if you're relying on yourself going to the sink and filling up glasses of water, you will not drink enough water, because a lot of the time you're just kind of sleeping, and then everything that you need needs to be on the bed next to you, especially if you had a C-section and maybe you can't move very far. And so flask is essential. I started off with a bubble bottle, but that made weird, queasy, wheezy noises and it annoyed me. Then I went on to the Brita water filter bottle, which has a filter in the top. But then the filter in that started to smell funny, and I didn't have a replacement filter, so that's downstairs waiting to be to get a new filter. So I'm onto this one at the moment. This is the BKR. It's like a glass bottle with a rubber coating. I thought it was really nice looking, actually, and you can get these at Cult Beauty. I'll link to those below. Kindle, because you'll be totally bored a lot of the time if you're feeding for hours and hours. And if you try and read a book that's got pages that you have to keep open, then you need two hands really for that. Whereas this, you can prop it up. In the early days, I just rested it on top of her body, naughty, and you just kind of need one finger just to flick the page. Also, if you get a backlit one, it means that you can read it in the middle of the night and you don't need to turn a light on. And actually the glow from this acts as a little night light, so you can scoop them up and put them on and you don't have to turn a light on. So that's really good. Finally, I have spent months searching for these because we did the house up, everything went into storage and I lost them. Emma Jane maternity nursing bras. Now there are loads and loads of nursing bras, and these ones are the least structured you can probably get. They're basically like little thin crop tops. But I tell you why I'm talking about these. Obviously you need a more structured bra probably for daytime and if you're going out. But if you're sleeping and you don't know what to wear for sleeping, you want something really, really soft, these are amazing because they're just so soft and unstructured. Actually, that's a new one to me. I haven't seen that style before. They're comfy to sleep in. They don't dig in, and it's almost just like a way of holding your breast pads on so that you don't leak milk onto the sheets, really. Yeah, this one's more like the one that I've been wearing. So just really, really kind of flimsy and soft. Doesn't dig in. Most importantly, doesn't have really tight elastic that will ride up over the breast and cut into it, because that's when you can get blockages and things like that, and mastitis. I think that's how I got mastitis, was I wasn't very well and I went to sleep in a more structured bra, and I woke up and it was kind of cutting across the very middle of my boob, and then I got mastitis. So you have to be careful with that because it makes you feel so ill. I thought that I was dying, it was awful. So yeah, really like this brand, and they're cheap as chips, which is why I've got so many of them. I think you can get them on ASOS, you can get them on Amazon. Oh, and I'll put a link to a really good book on breastfeeding as well below, because I think it's quite important. There are loads of places that you can go for support, there are loads of forums, and also I think now if you have a health visitor in the UK, I know that mine was really, really kind of not pushy about breastfeeding, but very supportive and very encouraging. And I think if I hadn't had that support, and also the support at the hospital after I'd had my C-section, they didn't even carry formula in the hospital. They were like, well, you either breastfeed or you have to sort yourself out with formula. And for me, it was like, I'll breastfeed. That's a lot easier, just put her on. I think obviously if I'd been unable to for some reason, then they would have helped out, but they were very much pro breastfeeding, and I think that kind of set me up for wanting to do it and wanting to continue with it. So that was good. But there's loads of support out there, so if you're struggling with it, then just give it a Google. And if you're not interested in breastfeeding at all and you've watched this whole video, then thanks for watching as well. This genuinely wasn't supposed to be like a pushy breastfeeding video. It's just the one that was on the top of my list because I thought that it would be a good one to start off with. So thanks for watching. Make sure you check out my website, and yeah, I'll see you next time.